Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne production. Available on Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne.
This episode of Steve Austin Show is brought to you free today by our friends at BetOnline.ag. We might be headed into the dog days of summer, but there isn't anything lazy about this summer's sports action with Major League Baseball and the UFC hotter than ever. Get in the mix at BetOnline.ag and use the promo code PodcastOne for your 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline.ag, your online sportsbook experts and exclusive partner of PodcastOne Sportsnet.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production. He started in a small town in Texas. Worked his ass off to become one of the most famous wrestlers of all time.
We're going to take care of business tonight, and that's the bottom line.
And now he's dominating the world of on-demand audio. And he's doing it for the working man.
This is a damn good outlet for me to spew the bullshit off my brain.
Yeah! This is Steve Austin Unleashed.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the main streets of Los Angeles, California today. I'm glad to be back. We'll be playing some of the most requested Steve Austin Show classics that have been locked away in the archives. I got a great one for you this week, and here's my producer, Sean, to tell you all about it.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another classic episode of the Steve Austin Show. It is producer Sean, and I am bringing you an episode from 2016, specifically episode number 339, with the one and only Ricochet. Original air date, July 5th, 2016. Ricochet, of course, a former NXT North American champion, a former WWE US champion, and well on his way to being one of the top up-and-coming superstars in the WWE at this time. He's quite awesome to watch, and it's really cool that Steve got a chance to talk to him a couple years ago. So we are talking with Ricochet when he is also known as Prince Puma on Lucha Underground. He's still a part of Lucha Underground at this time, but he is Ricochet on the independent circuit and in New Japan, particularly talking about his 2016 Will Osprey match that got a lot of people buzzing. Also, Steve and Ricochet talk about some of Ricochet's favorite matches, talking about training, growing up in Kentucky and working in Chikara, training with guys like Chuck Taylor and Mike Quackenbush. A real cool conversation here with Ricochet and Steve Austin. Also, there's a point in this podcast, and maybe you guys can catch this. There's a point where I believe, I don't know for certain, but at least as far as podcast canon goes, Steve Austin learns about Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega gets brought up, and Steve is like, Kenny Omega, I need to check that guy out. So it's something to pay attention to. I kind of catch these things as I do these classic episodes, so I thought I'd bring that up. All right, let's get into it. This day in Steve Austin history, today being August 1st. We start off in 1992 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's WCW TV champion Steve Austin and Barry Windham going to a draw. Then we go to 1994 in Fort Pierce, Florida. Now, according to my notes at thehistoryofwwe.com, it only says Ricky Steamboat versus WCW US champion Steve Austin. I do not know if Steve won, lost, had a draw, so let's assume he won. Then finally, we go to the WWF in 1998 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, in the Sky Dome. It's WWF World Champion Stone Cold Steve Austin defeating Undertaker and Kane in a triple threat match. I get my information from the history of WWE.com. All right, folks, coming right up, we've got the one and only Ricochet on a classic episode of the Steve Austin Show.
Summer action continues to heat up in the UFC with some big fights right around the corner, and the NFL preseason is here. That's right, folks. It's that time again. Over in the UFC, Colby Covington and Robbie Lawler are getting ready to square off in a welterweight clash at UFC on ESPN. The Bullet, Valentina Shevchenko, is set to do battle with Liz Carmouche at Fight Night 156. Then, August 17th, it's the big one. UFC 241 is my guy, DC. Daniel Cormier takes on Stipe Miocic in a fight for the ages. There's only one place that has you covered and one place we trust, betonline.ag. Sign up today for a free account at betonline.ag and use the promo code PodcastOne. Or text BET NOW to 238-669 to receive a 50% welcome bonus. That's betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts and exclusive partners of PodcastOne Sportsnet. Don't forget, I got a brand new show called Straight Up Steve Austin, season premiere August 12th on USA Network, right after Monday Night Raw. In this series, there's 7 episodes. I shoot the breeze with celebrity guests. We do some activities. We raise hell. We have some fun. I get to know them. They get to know me. We step in my world, and I'll step into some of their worlds as well. Please set your DVRs on August 12th. Straight Up Steve Austin, my new show on the USA Network, season premiere August 12th. And that's the bottom line.
This is Steve Austin Unleashed.
Working the style you're working right now, and you go back and see some of that old school stuff, and you kind of compare the two products or the in-ring stuff. What are your thoughts?
Obviously it's a way different style, but I like most all wrestling, and especially like stuff back then. Like I used to not like stuff back then. I think because I wasn't ever really open to it. I didn't have, again, like when I first started wrestling, I didn't even really know about any of that stuff. I didn't know about Japanese wrestling. I didn't know about a lot of this stuff. I just knew what my trainers and stuff showed me. And so I think that's kind of why. But now here recently, like I've been watching stuff, and it's awesome. It's real cool. Like just seeing it, like guys going in there and just head busted, and it's real cool to see stuff like that.
You're from Paducah, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you grow up watching, or did you?
To be honest, it's really weird. I'm kind of shaking right now. The match that made me want to be a professional wrestler was WrestleMania 15, you and The Rock, because we just had like this thing WrestleMania weekend. I did a little speech or whatever, but I remember going to my parents' house. Not my parents' friend's house, I'm sorry. And all the kids were down in the basement watching the show, where all the parents were up top watching the show, I remember that match on, and all the kids are like in the back wrestling, and I was glued to this match. The match was so good, and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, and that's when it was it. And then later I got into wrestling, but that although that's not even my style, but that match was the match. I was like, this is what I want to do. This is it.
I was watching I watched the match with you and Will Osprey, and we'll get that here in a little bit. I've watched that match probably 5 or 6 times, but there's a couple times, because when you work with New Japan, you work without the mask.
Yeah.
And Lucha Underground, Prince Puma, with the mask. So, but there's a couple times during that match, and I'm thinking, you're very unique, you're very you, Ricochet, but then I say, I see a little bit of Rock here. Just, from some of the little body language and some of the hand movements. Dare say, is there a little Rock influence there?
Oh, 100%. He, like, it's weird. He's my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
And then, so, like, I do try to add, like, I don't try to. It's just, I guess it just subconsciously, whatever, it comes out and I'll do something. Like, even one time a match, because in Japan, the pay-per-views come on like 5 o'clock in America, 5 o'clock a.m. And Tessa she was up watching it. She set an alarm. She woke up and she watched the show. And I did something. I did like a cool, like little like Rock thing. I wasn't even thinking about it. But then I get to the back and she messaged me. She was like, I see that little Rock face. I'm like, what? And I go back and watch it. I'm like, God, it's 100%. Yeah.
Hey, that's cool though. Hey, let's go back to your childhood. Because, dude, when I watch you in the ring, you're probably one of the best all-around pure athletes I've ever seen. Some of the stuff you do, and we're going to get to that. But growing up as a kid, did you play football, track, soccer? What gave you all this athletic ability from what you pursued?
I've had a trampoline. I had a trampoline since I was 5 years old, I think. And between me and my buddy, his name's Jason, between us two, I think we went through like 11 trampolines apiece because we just get all of our friends over. So I've been jumping on trampolines and doing that stuff since I can remember. But then I played football from like 3rd grade all the way till maybe freshman year, until I started training for wrestling. I played football, American football.
What position you play in football?
I started out a quarterback because we didn't have anybody else. But then once I got older, I was a wide receiver. Yeah, so.
Did you guys ever run 40s?
Yeah.
What could you clock in the 40?
Oh, man, I don't even remember. What was my 40? It was pretty good.
Don't be making nothing up on me. Give me something
I honestly can't remember. It was probably like, I couldn't remember, to be honest with you.
Did you graduate high school?
I did.
And then go to college?
I didn't. As soon as I graduated high school, I started this factory job with my mom. She's been working this job for like 20 years, same place. And so she got me a job there, which was pretty good because I was making like, especially in Paducah, a smaller town, like $10.50 an hour. I had like benefits, vacation, insurance, all that stuff. And I got raises. I was there 4 years. I was making like $19 an hour. I had like 2-3 weeks vacation. a crappy job, but especially for a kid, it's pretty good money and all that stuff.
So when did you decide to go ahead, hey, man, I'm going to be a pro wrestler? Because you made your debut in 2004. I mean, that's
2003.
2003.
October 11, 2000. My birthday, October 11, 2003.
Okay. So, man, in 2003, that makes you damn near about a 13-year veteran, and you're 27. You're going to be 28 October.
Yeah.
So, I mean, dude, you got a lot of miles underneath you.
Yeah.
I mean, you still look and feel like $1 million?
I feel pretty good, actually. It's crazy. I feel pretty good. But
that's a young start.
Yeah. I wish I would have started a little later.
Right.
Yeah.
So, where you're at right now, coming through the places that you've come through, and now ending up here in Lucha Underground and going over with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and watching you work without the mask, you look very at home and you look like you're having fun, and you're able to see your facial expressions. Yeah. Give me the difference between a Ricochet and Prince Puma, working underneath that hood. How difficult is going from one to the other?
At first, it was pretty difficult because they're two different characters. Prince Puma is like a noble, valiant, like he's the good guy, He's just a good guy, and so you can't really be too ornery, I guess. But Ricochet's he's not a good guy or a bad guy or whatever. He's just like he's an ornery but my mom used to call Trevor. That's what she used to call me. You're an ornery little head, and that's what Ricochet is, like. It's not that he's good or bad. He's just mischievous, I guess. I don't know. So that one I get to kind of just be a little more myself. But then as Puma, I mean, I guess I just got to keep in mind, like, it's a different character. And I guess when I'm in the ring, honestly, it kind of comes not natural, but, like, I don't feel like I know I don't do a certain like, Ricochet will tell you, suck it. Puma would never do that or something, Like, when it comes to, like, with women, like, Puma would never willingly, like, hit a girl, like, someone... I would go to maybe kick somebody and he moves and accidentally hit her or something, but like Ricochet would just super kick her or something, right. So like it's just different things like that, little things like that you just got to distinguish between the two. Sometimes it's a little hard, but sometimes, like, again, it's like second nature by now, I guess.
Is there one you prefer over the other?
I really like the Puma character, but I think Ricochet, I get to be more myself and I can be more natural, I guess, with stuff.
So if you're coming up in Paducah, Kentucky, I mean, I'm sitting here looking on your Wikipedia page. It says you was trained by Brandon Walker and Chuck Taylor. Yeah. Is that a shoot?
There was a guy named Will Woods. He went by Kid Sinister. Mm-hmm. He was the original like trainer that my very first day. And then they brought in Chuck Taylor. He wrestled for this place called Old School Wrestling, and in Hardin, Kentucky, which was like 40 minutes away. But then so he came down and he helped me out a lot. And then a guy named Brandon Thunderbolt Walker. He was an old school wrestler, but he was real good. His basics were real good. He knew the psychology of everything, and that he taught us a lot of like.
Now it's hard for me to imagine that going back to these the Brandon Walker, and I'm seeing a little bit of Chuck Taylor stuff, but they're teaching you the high flying stuff that you're doing right now, because I just don't see a whole lot of people around that can teach that stuff. Well, were these guys teaching basic, fundamentals?
Yeah, they were like. I remember the very first day. My trainer, he was like, okay, look, we're going to do like a front roll. He's like, you put your fist down, you just kind of flip over. I was like, all right, cool. I did it. And I did I put my fist and my head on the ground and I literally flipped to my feet. I didn't do the front roll. And they were like, no, you don't need to flip. You need to roll, just roll over. I was like, oh, okay. Like, cause I thought that I heard you just flip over. So I did a flip over, I didn't roll over. So like that kind of stuff was like, it's like, I just been doing it for so long. It's just natural, but it was the other stuff, like, the fundamentals, the basics, that was really hard for me.
So why were the fundamentals, the basics, so hard for you?
I don't know. I guess just like the facial expressions and the noise and the sounds and all that stuff was actually what was the most hard. Because I remember telling my mom, like, I feel like an idiot, like making noises like in the ring. She was like, well, that's what you got to do. You have to do it. That's what. And I was like, I felt
self-conscious about selling.
I guess so. Yeah. Right. And it was just always in the back of my head. So I would never like make any noises. I would always go like. Make the faces, right. But I would never make the noises. And I remember talking to my mom about it. She's like, you just got to do it. Like, you got to try and you got to do it. And I was like, yeah.
See, Mom sounds very supportive of your career.
She has been. At first, I remember when I quit football, my dad, who's like, this is stupid. I think it's dumb. Blah, blah, blah. But our football team was crap. I think my last year I played, we were like 1-9 or 2-8. Like, we were crap.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it was horrible. And so I was like, I'm not losing anything. If we were good, I could see. But now my dad's like the biggest fan. Actually, funny story. he used to DJ. He was DJing the wedding or something, I forgot. But I was in town, so I went to go see him do his thing, you know. And as soon as I walk in, he's like, "Oh, hey everybody, this is my son over here. He's gonna be the next Stone Cold Steve Austin." I'm like, "Dad, stop." He's like my number one supporter now. He's he's so cool.
How long did it take you to you got the mechanics down? Some of the basics were hard for you, but how was just taking bumps and just hitting the mat? Did that bother you at all?
I remember my first day. Me and my buddy, his name's Mikey. We were like hitting the ropes, bumping all that stuff. We go back to his house. He's literally bruised. His back is bruised from hitting the ropes so bad. We just open the door and fall down. We're like, "Oh, this sucks." But like we went back the next day and it was all like, it was rough. It was real rough. But I mean, something in me was just like, you got to keep doing this.
Well, how did you start getting booked all over the place? Because I mean, from your bookings over there early on, and then Chikara.
Actually, it was me and Chuck Taylor. He was my travel partner because he was like 2 years older than me, so he kind of took care of everything. Like people would contact him about us two, and so we would go like Tennessee, Alabama, Indiana, Illinois, like all these like small local promotions, blah blah blah. And then he would start making, because he went to school for like video editing and stuff, so he would make like these music videos of our matches, and he'd put them on YouTube, and he'd put his little email down there. And I think a company called IPW, Insanity Pro Wrestling, in Indianapolis, Indiana, they got a hold of us first, and we went out there and did a couple of shows. And then Ian Rotten saw that, and Ian Rotten, IWA Mid-South, he got a hold of us. We did that, and then it was like in 1 year, it was like IWA, CZW, Chikara, like all these places like up north. And so, but then we just kind of got stuck not stuck, but we stayed with Chikara more. Chikara,
that's Philadelphia,
IWA.
right?
Yeah, Philadelphia. Yeah. And it just went from there. And I knew all the basics of wrestling, but then when I went to Chikara, Quackenbush, he taught us like a lot of the lucha aspects of it. And that's something I was really like excited to learn about.
Why did the lucha style excite you so much?
I don't know. I think
played into your athletic moveset?
Maybe. I think so, because I remember earlier on, Chuck Taylor, he showed me some videos of like Toriamon. It was an older, I guess it was before Dragon Gate. It was Toriamon, ran by Ultimo Dragon. And those guys it was like the Japanese and Lucha Libre style mixed together, and it just fascinated me. I was like, this is what I want to do, you know? And so once I started learning the lucha style, I guess maybe that's why I was so intrigued by it, because I saw this Toriamon stuff, like Dragon Kid and Shima and all these guys, and I was like, those guys are the ones that I want to be like.
Right.
So I think that's kind of why I ventured over to it more.
Before we go into a little bit more style, let's go back to some of those early paydays. I don't want to know what you're making now, but when I first started, and I started in Dallas, and then I would go down to the USWA, and as a weekly territory, we worked the same towns all the time. And dude, when I first started breaking in, I was either making $15 or $20 a night, and some of those are 400-mile round trips, so I was starving. In the early days, and in Chikara or whatever, I mean, what are you guys making a night?
Well, Chikara was much better. Like the early days when me and Chuck Taylor were doing like Tennessee, like we did, Tony Falk?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Tony Falk. He reps my first match in Dallas, Texas against Frogman LeBlanc, and very knowledgeable guy who helped me out tremendously. Hello, Tony Falk.
Yeah, Chuck, we wrestled at it's called the Stadium Inn in Nashville, Tennessee. Little small place, probably no bigger than this, but I mean maybe like $5 maybe, but yeah, not very much. I remember the first time somewhere in Tennessee getting paid like $35 and being like, people get paid this much? I was like, this is great.
So that was good money.
Yeah. And then I remember like going up to like Chikara and all these places and getting, I don't remember, maybe it was like $70, but like I was like, this is awesome. Like,
yeah.
Because like Chuck Taylor, he paid for all the gas because like him and Quackenbush, they worked all that out. Yeah. I didn't do it that, so I just got my $70. I was like, this is great. I love this.
When you work in Chikara and some of those places, is almost every match on the card high-flying stuff?
No, Chikara had a vast variety of like people. They had like your bigger guys, like they had like Claudio Castellano, Cesaro. Yep. They had those guys, Chris Hero, who could do stuff. They had Chuck Taylor. He could do any style. He could get in there with me in high fly, or could get in there with someone in technical wrestle. Like they had Quack train. They trained his kids really well. So like he had a tournament called Rey de Veladores King of Flyers, and that whole show was like a King of Flyers kind of show, kind of like the Super Juniors kind of thing.
Right.
So, but he had a bunch of different styles. It was really, really cool.
You ever go back and watch I was talking about the match you had with Will Osprey a few weeks ago back on the podcast, and one of the things I just had to go back and compare it to was it was a 1982 match with Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask. Have you ever seen that match?
Oh, yeah.
What did you think about Dynamite Kid or Tiger Mask or Juice and Thunder Liger or a guy like Chris Benoit or Malenko, some technical guys that could also work lucha and Japanese style and could also fly?
Yeah. We were in Japan. We were watching Eddie Guerrero's Black Tiger versus Benoit, and my God, it was so good. We were sitting there just watching it on my little phone, and I just couldn't take my eyes off of it. But I also the Dynamite Kid Tiger Mask match. It's just just so innovative, and like especially being I think the match I'm thinking. Well, even like for example, this is my second favorite match, followed by my first favorite match is You and the Rock 17. That's my favorite. But the second favorite match is Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Halloween Havoc 97.
Right.
That match was flawless. That's like the standard when it comes to like and that was 20 years ago. So the Tiger Mask, Dynamite Kid was way before that. And so like this stuff is just so before its time. It's just crazy to me to think like back then those guys were doing that stuff like that we still like try to like not imitate but try to do.
I don't know, man. I mean, that match you had with Will Osprey at New Japan as Ricochet, I mean, I'd never seen anything like that. Now, I've seen Dynamite do all his stuff. Well, not all of it. Now, of course, the late, great Eddie Guerrero, who everybody loves.
Yeah.
Benoit, I mean, some of the guys you just mentioned. But, dude, the stuff that you guys were doing was just out of this world. The timing and precision. And here's the thing. Like I said on the podcast a few weeks ago, I mean, if that was an action movie, that might have taken 10 to 20 takes to get what you guys did one time, live, unedited. I mean,
that's true.
So that was pretty technical. There was a lot of buzz about that match.
Yeah.
People were blown out of the water by it. I was. Some people loved it. Some people didn't like it.
Yeah.
Everybody had to appreciate it for because of just how badass and athletic it was. How many times had you worked with Will Osprey before?
That was our fourth singles match. We had one tag match. It was me and Rich Swann and him and a guy named Paul Robinson. That's a really good match too, actually. That was one of our first ones together. But this last one, I don't know.
What's it about you and Will that just clicks? I mean,
yeah, I think he's just a big fan of mine, and as I am his too. But like our styles just, not that they're similar, but they are similar, I guess. But they just go together. They mesh real well, and like we both like we'll think of the same idea or something in our head, and we'll envision it, and we know we could most likely pull it off. So we're like, yeah, okay, let's just try it.
And he's 23, 24, man. He's a super talented cat. I mean, at a real young age.
Yeah.
On a technical note, a couple calls were a little bit loud on that match.
Yeah, it's something we had to.
But you guys working with short hair, and I'm working with a bald head. But sometimes it is what it is, and sometimes the mics are pretty hot. That was on a technical note, but the precision of that match was just absolutely incredible. Big Van Vader voiced his opinions on that match, and he. I think he appreciated it for the athleticism, but he was more of a smash mouth guy because of his stuff with Big Stan Hansen, respectfully so. What was your feedback just from guys from the old school?
Well, that's one thing. People, I guess fans of his, obviously, kept tweeting at me like, "You need to not disrespect the legends." Blah blah. And it's like I never disrespect. Like I love Vader. Vader was awesome. Vader was awesome, and I still think Vader was awesome. But I guess because I stood up for myself, I was. But I wasn't even at all trying to disrespect Vader because Vader's the man. But people were like, you need to not disrespect your veterans. And I was like, I'm not at all. But I think that match just kind of, it blew up so much because I think it sparked a conversation that I guess people have been wanting to have and never really had a way to have the conversation. And this just kind of gave someone an outlet to voice their opinion on what they think wrestling is,
Right.
And I think that's kind of why it blew up so much, because I think people have been wanting to have this conversation for a while, but this kind of gave them the way to do it.
So when you're back there and you go to Japan, you've been working for Lucha Underground, and all of a sudden they say, hey, man, how does this process work over there? Because I'm guessing you don't speak Japanese.
I speak a little bit. Well, not too much, but I've been going since 2010 because I used to go for Dragon Gate.
Yeah.
And I just recently started going for New Japan.
So you're getting it a little bit.
So, yeah, like I can definitely understand more than I can speak, but I can speak like a little bit too.
Okay, how about your Spanish? Because you were naming some names a while ago, and you rolled your tongue a little bit there.
It's getting better because being here at Lucha and being around all these guys, and so they try to teach me stuff here and there, and also like I've always tried to, like, if I speak Japanese or Spanish or something, I try to get the accent as much as possible.
Right.
You know, just because sometimes if you say something in a different accent, it could be two different things, you know,
right,
or mean two different things. So
you're in New Japan. You're going to work with Will Osprey. What I tell you, hey man, go give him 20, and then Osprey's going to go over with the gimmick head kick.
Actually, we had 15. We went a little over, and I kind of wish we would have just went more over, but I didn't want to get in trouble. But we had 15. I think we went a little over, but that's fine. But yeah, they said main event and is you versus Osprey, like him up, and so I'm like, okay, cool, like, but they didn't give us a directive, they didn't give us like what they would like. I guess they just trusted us, but we just wanted to make a main event caliber Super Junior Korakuen Hall Tokyo Japan style match, you know. Like I said, like I wouldn't go out there and do that every night.
Right.
No way I would do that every night.
I was going to ask you about that because could you physically? I mean,
I wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to.
Right.
Like, that's like a special thing. Like, actually, I was over in England for like almost 2 weeks one time. I wrestled Zack Sabre Jr. multiple times, and on the very last one, we were actually in Germany this time. He was like, "You're supposed to be the best high flyer in the world. You haven't done any high flying. You didn't do any dives. You didn't do any go to the top rope or nothing." He's like, "You're supposed to be the best high flyer in the world. Where's all this high flying at?" You know. So it's I pull it out when I should, you know. That's the
good answer, because a lot of people just say, "Man, I got to get my shit in," and you don't always have to get your shit in. And it's my family-friendly show, but I'm gonna give you a couple of them because a lot of people get caught in that trap. And now, yeah, obviously, when someone comes to see Prince Puma or Ricochet, they might expect a little bit.
Yeah,
you know, you're something out of your repertoire.
Yes,
but that doesn't mean you have to bring everything.
Exactly.
Because, dude, depending on that house, depending on where you are, you pick your shots because you know you're putting your body on the line. And here's the thing: the thing that was so incredible about that match to me was, you know, if you go back and you watch Hanson, Vader, or Brody, I mean, those guys are crushing each other. But just the precision, the way you guys were bumping. I've got some time codes on that match. There's a couple of DDTs in there. That one he hits you with early on in the match is give or take about the 5-minute mark. Did that light you up at all?
Sometimes, yeah.
No, it was the one you hit him with. You hit him with, and he ended up staggering out through the apron, and then he walked back over around, and you hit him with something else.
Yeah, I remember that. Because he's kind of got like it's not a bad neck, but he's had neck problems before. So I remember him telling me it wasn't rough, but it wasn't light either. Dude,
at 23, when you got neck problems and you're taking those DDTs like that, you know, you got to definitely pick your spots.
Yeah.
What were a couple of the ones where I think one of them was in the ring and one of them was outside when you took, I guess it's a backwards DDT? What is that called?
The reverse Hurricane Rana, yeah.
It looks wicked. Yeah. How does it feel?
There's mats out there, but those mats they're not
right.
cushions, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's why I made sure. Like after that, I'm taking. Luckily, Japan does a 20 count. So
right.
So I took every single bitty second that I could before I rolled back in the ring. But yeah, like I said, there's mats, but it's not a mattress. You know?
That was a pretty lively Japanese crowd. Yeah, a lot of times old school, and maybe it's still going on. But I mean, you could go out there, and I only went to Japan, 3 times, and one was a 3-week tour, and the other was just one night. But sometimes, man, you're working in front of a symphony of silence, and hey, maybe you go to the ropes, and they'll pop for that, but then finally you'll go home, and they might clap. But dude, it'll mess your head up if you're working stateside, because sometimes y'all get the tempo rocking pretty good with Lucha Underground, and then you go back over there, and it's like they were with you on that match, but does that mess your head up? Because me being a stateside worker, I don't hear very well, but I hear every single person in that crowd once a match starts, and that's how I make my decisions. Does it bother you going back and forth, or you just used to it?
At first, I remember going to some of like the smaller local like Japanese towns, and not that they're not interested, because they actually watch wrestling as a sport. They watch it
right
as a sport, and some of them were like, not that they weren't watching it, but they were watching so much that they weren't making noise. And I'd get to the back and I'm like, man, I don't know, like I don't know if that was good or not, because they weren't. But then after a while, I'm like, that's just how they are. Like you got to roll with it. Like that's how they are. Sometimes you try to get them and they don't go. Sometimes they do. But the one at Pork and Hall was insane. It was nuts.
What was the attendance that night? Did you get a chance to know how many people?
I don't know. I don't know the exact. I know it can hold anywhere from like 2,800 to 3,000. But I think we were almost, if not max capacity.
Dude, here's the thing. Back in the day, and again, I talked about this on the podcast the other day, but since you're here, man, you're able to do these high-flying styles, man. Sometimes, Benoit, Malenko, or Guerrero would go out there and they'd rock the house and be like, God dang, you're next. I'm the next match, and I don't have nothing. Eddie Guerrero, I don't have nothing in that skill set. I'm like, well, how do you follow that? And how you follow that, if anybody's ever trapped trying to follow Ricochet in Japan or Will Osprey or some of those other cats, you just go do your own stuff.
Yeah.
Because you can't try to up your game and say, hey, I'm going to try this. If it ain't in your wheelhouse, it's not in your moveset, you just stick to what brought you to the dance.
Yep.
And lay your shit in and just hopefully whatever character you've developed is enough to encapsulate that crowd. And sometimes it's just, as you know, it's someone pounding on your chest, and it's that show of fire which gets that crowd.
I agree completely. I forgot. Maybe it's because I think I heard that on your podcast, but I was talking to someone, I forgot who, but I agree completely. Like people ask me all the time about my moves or whatever, but I never, like people get hurt when they do stuff they don't think they can do. I never do anything I'm not fully positive I can do. There's nothing I'll never do. Like that's why, like, I haven't done like the double moonsault in like 3 years, because I've gotten a little bit bigger, and I'm not 100% positive I can still do it. So, but just go out there and do what you do and do it as best as you can do it. Like whether it's fighting or high flying or technical wrestling or whatever it is, I agree completely. Just don't try to do anything that's not you.
Hey, you kids out there listening to this, if you watch Ricochet wrestle Will Osprey in New Japan Pro Wrestling, don't try this at home. The guy's been doing this a long ass time. Hey, were you ever a fan of backyard wrestling?
Yeah, of course. I was actually, there's a guy on Lucha Underground named Havoc, but he also goes by M-Dog20 or Matt Cross.
Son of Havoc.
Son of Havoc.
Met him on Tough Enough 2011. I'm so proud of that guy.
Man, I remember there's a video game called Backyard Wrestling, which he's the feature. He's on the cover doing I remember playing as him, actually the company I started at, we originally were a backyard company, but then the next month we got the local gymnasium and we started running shows in this local gymnasium. But we originally were a backyard company. We brought a $5,000 high spots ring, and we had bus seats. I guess one of the guys knew a local guy who owned a junkyard, so we had school bus seats around we had 2 rows or something.
Yeah.
We sold chips and stuff as concessions. We had a thing going. We just didn't have a building.
Yeah.
But it was in my buddy's backyard, and I guess some of these guys took carpentry in school, so they made this cool wooden entrance. It was real cool, man. But yeah, I was a backyard wrestler for a little bit.
But dude, I tell you, we talk about putting up a ring or putting up some chairs and trying to have an arena, and it kind of gives you, maybe a short window of doing it, but you got to get the inner workings or the backside of the business. A lot of guys just know how to work, but hey, man, I know a lot of guys that set up rings, sold flyers, stapled flyers on telephone poles, try to, there's a lot of dues paying. It kind of makes you appreciate the whole promotional aspect. You can have the coolest product in the world or the small product, but if nobody knows about it, nobody can go see it.
Yeah. Everyone has different paths in wrestling. Everyone has different paths, and I wouldn't change a thing of mine. I started out wrestling in front of literally 5 people, maybe less. I've wrestled in front of, all the way to the Tokyo Dome, which Wrestle Kingdom was 40,000 people. So literally, I wouldn't change a thing. I'm so every road I've taken, I'm good or bad. I wouldn't change a thing.
Alexa isn't the only one with breaking news. Make sure to hang around at the end of this podcast for the latest breaking headlines on the AP News Minute.
Hey everybody, Dan Patrick here, host of the Dan Patrick Podcast on PodcastOne. Join me this week for the hottest sports topics and great interviews.
As it stands right now, Tom Brady's still awesome. He's certainly, the most decorated of all time, not even close. I get that. But yes, going into the 2019 season, Dan, I look at him as the 9th best quarterback.
Download new episodes of the Dan Patrick Show podcast Monday through Friday, only on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne.
This is Steve Austin Unleashed.
Doing all your travels now with the high level that you're at right now, you're booked, I guess, exclusively with Lucha Underground, New Japan Pro Wrestling, but do you also do indie shots?
Yeah, I was just talking to someone the other day. I guess I mostly do Lucha and New Japan right now, but between those two, I have no time because it's like I'll go to Lucha Thursday to Sunday. Monday, I'll fly to New Japan for a week. I'll come home for like maybe 2 days. Then, or maybe like out of the 2 days, they're like, hey, we need you to come film a scene. So I'll have to fly to Lucha like a day early. And so I'm there a day early filming the scene. So like I'm booked up between those two. I would like to do some more indies. I would like to, but
my question about those indies though is as high precision as you are. I mean, what is the quality out there, guys, you're getting in the ring with? Because, when you're out there with Will, when you're out there with Ray, when you're out there with the guys at Lucha Underground, I mean, you're talking about high-level guys. What's the level of work out there on the scene?
But, man, right now, the indie scene's killing it right now. There's a lot of good guys out there. But
that's good to hear. I didn't know that.
I'm trying to think, I guess the last indie I really did was, I did a company called AAW in Chicago, where I wrestled, Sammy Callahan.
Right.
And then I do PWG and everyone it's hard for me to do indies nowadays because I just don't have the time, but most companies, all their guys are really good top to bottom, whether it's England has tons of good guys. Marty Scroll, Mark Haskins, Mark Andrews, of course, Osprey, Paul Robinson. They have a bunch of good guys.
Now, see, when you're talking about England, I go back to the old World of Sport days. Yeah. I mean, they're working 5-minute rounds. Yeah. So what style are these cats that you're mentioning working these days? Are they high flyers?
There's everything.
Those guys from England are very technical. Yeah. I love to see that.
No, that's the thing. They're like, the Zack Sabres, the Scrolls, the Ospreys, all those guys. They'll do all of it. Of course, they can, Sabre can get in there and do a World of Sport and kill it, but then he can get in there with someone like Chris Hero or Osprey and have, he'll still do his stuff, but he'll do it in a different way, I guess. And same thing with Marty Scroll. Marty Scroll's such a character; he can do anything. He can get in there with anybody. They can do the World of Sport, but they can get in there with a flyer or a grappler or a technician or a striker. England's doing really, really well, man.
Hey, you brought up character. Let's talk a little about your Prince Puma character. And how did Lucha Underground find you? Well, obviously, just contact you and say, hey, man, we want you to come in and work Lucha style, and we want you under a mask. How did that conversation start? How did it go?
Funny thing, Conan was contacting me for a long time. I kept saying no because I don't know if you remember Wrestling Society X.
Yes.
Had a really cool idea, really cool premise. It could have been really cool, but it just wasn't, And that's what I thought this was going to be, another one of those. So I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. For maybe a full year, he kept contacting me. And even Conan, he talked to me. He's like, I bet you thought I was crazy. I bet you thought, why is this guy calling me? Just stop calling me. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, Conan, stop calling me. I don't want to do this. But then he hooked me up with one of the executive producers, and he started talking to me about all the stuff. And then I think it was the day before we were going to start filming some stuff. I think it was a Wednesday, and they wanted me to come out Thursday. They're still trying to get me to do this, and I'm just so on the fence because.
Why were you so hesitant? Because the other idea sounded cooler?
No, just because I didn't want to be part of something that was, again, Wrestling Society X. It could have been cool. It could have been cool. It could have been what Lucha Underground is, but it just wasn't. It wasn't good.
Right.
And not to the talent, because all the guys were good. You had Matt Sydal, Tornado, Jack Evans, B-Boy. You had all these good guys.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, what if this flops and it's just no good? And and it just ruins my career. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. That's what I was thinking. And obviously, I had WWE in my sights. And I wasn't talking to him, but that's what I wanted to do, and I didn't want that to ruin it. So I'm like, no. But then finally, I just took a chance, and that night we came to an agreement, and they bought me a flight that night, and so I'm packing that night, and Thursday I fly out, and it's been so cool ever since. It was like the day we got there, it was cool. Like, I like the characters, the colors, it's all cool, man.
Well, I like the character too, but how did they drop? I mean, who came up with the Prince Puma gimmick?
It's their character. He's I guess the main character of the show, the host show. They flew me out to L.A. to the Univision headquarters or whatever, and they showed me all the cards and the flyers and the books and stuff they had that they're gonna do all this, and they told me about the Prince Puma character and how he's from Boyle Heights, he's just a kid, and he stumbled onto this, and Conan took him under his wing and all that stuff, and I was like, yeah, cool, let's do it. And they showed me little a drawing of what they would like for the Puma character to look like, and it looked cool. It actually looks cooler on the paper than it does. I got these giraffe looking tights, but I really liked it. And then after the first weekend of actually filming the show, just being in the temple and seeing the fans, it was just cool. It was like adrenaline rush, I guess.
How's the vibe in that building? Because it looks like the fans are really having a good time.
They are. They're having just as good time as we are having, and I think that's literally due to the success of Lucha Underground is those fans. They're so good. I can't even explain it. The electricity, they're just loving. They appreciate everything. They appreciate the high flyers, but they appreciate Brian Cage, and they appreciate Mil Muertes, and they appreciate even Dario Cueto. He's probably the most popular. He's probably the most popular character. He's my favorite character on the show.
Yeah.
And so they appreciate it all, and it's just we took a chance on something that was just so good.
What was the bump? It wasn't a bump. It was a high flying thing. You didn't. I think it was back into season 1. It was just spectacular. The camera angle. You jumped on somebody from one of the. You're on top of. Do you remember what bump I'm talking about? It was just unbelievable.
I did a couple of those. There's a couple of times where, as I'm about to do something, I remember one time specifically, Brian Cage is on the outside, on top of a table. He's on a table, and I'm on the inside. And I'm I'm about to springboard 450 to the outside. I'm like, why am I going to do this? That's what I was thinking at this moment. I'm like, oh, man, because beforehand, we're like, I'll hit you with it. Yeah, it'd be cool. But at that time, I was like, oh, Trevor, this is bad. This is real bad.
Yeah.
And I did it anyway, and it was luckily I hit him right on money. But I remember thinking, and then I remember one time, I think it was season 2, there was a couple of guys on the outside. And we were talking, they were like, you'll hit a dive here. I'm like, all right, cool. What are you going to hit? I was like, I'll figure that out later. Let's get the match first, and I'll figure that out later.
Right.
And apparently we never figured that part out.
Right.
So we're out there doing the match. I'm supposed to dive. I'm like, oh, crap. What am I going to do? So I hit the ropes, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? So it's I just spaceman jumped to the top rope and hit a shooting star to the outside on people. And I was like, I don't know why I did that. I don't know.
At one point in the Will Osprey match, it was the one where you Osprey was out, and it might have been after the DDT.
Oh, yeah.
You hit the ropes on the opposite side. You came back. You launched off the second, went over the top. I mean, it was insane. I mean, it's beautiful. But your reaction to the crowd was, I didn't know I was going to do that.
Kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
As I'm hitting the ropes, because I remember he's now Kalisto.
Yes, I saw him the other day.
He used to be Samurai del Sol. I remember being in Mexico, and he did that dive, and it was the best one I've ever seen. And as I'm running, I'm like, I wonder if I can do that. So that's what I'm thinking.
It's a good time to try. live New Japan when Will Osprey's got to catch you.
And that's what I'm thinking. So I do it, and I'm like, oh, and I hit him like, yeah. I was so fired up, yeah.
What's the worst you've been hurt trying to do what you do? Because, I mean, I haven't seen you miss yet. Obviously, that 450 when somebody moves in the turnbuckle or whatever degree that ends up being, sometimes those look pretty
Sometimes
rugged.
those are rough. I remember like the 630 where I landed on my back. Sometimes, after the match, even sometimes when I hit them, my tailbone will come down and I'll hit, and my lower back is kind of so. But the worst injury I've ever had wasn't even due to wrestling. It was... me and my friends went to this open gym gymnastics type place, and I was just doing flips on the floor, and I may have broke my ankle, but I didn't have insurance at the time, so I didn't go to the hospital because
I've been there, done that.
Yeah, but it was swollen from my shin all the way down to my toes. It was black and blue. I couldn't move it. Like, I had to use my brother's crutches he had from an old injury because I didn't have insurance, and it was so bad. And even to this day, like, I'll tweak it and but that's probably the worst injury I've ever had. But I remember maybe it was like 2.5 weeks after the injury, I booked a show because I wanted to see, because I had a show coming up that was like a pretty bigger show for me at the time. So I booked a small show to see if I could like move. And I was like, no, I can't do it. I had to cancel the other show because I just couldn't even do anything. It looked all crappy, and I was just really disappointed with it. So I had to cancel a couple of shows, which I was really sad about. But that's probably the biggest injury I've had.
A lot of people don't understand, dude. When you don't work, you don't make any money. That's why so many guys have to work hurt. But then again, doing what you do, or pretty much anybody would do, when you got a broke ankle and you're walking around or jumping so much, you're done.
Yeah.
You just started moving your shoulder. You got a rotator cuff problem?
I think a long time ago I messed it up, but now like. So if I'm going to like go to bench press, some days I can do really well. I can put plates on, but some days I'm like, oh nope, I'm gonna have to do high reps because I can't put.
So what are you doing with your weight training? I mean, you're still a youngster, but you got some miles on you. You're a very dynamic work style. I can tell you right now, I went on a heavy streak, tore my rotator cuff, and then tore it worse. And so I'm just now recovering from that. I'm not back lifting with this side yet, but so dude, if I was going to give you any advice, it's like, lighten up on the poundage a little bit. Just keep your reps up. Nobody gives a damn how much you can bench press. Don't let your ego come into it.
I did it
Get some blood in that area and just keep looking good. And, you got good genetics to begin with. It's all about diet.
Yeah. I remember a long time. It's not a long time. It was like maybe like 3 years ago. I tried to like do my max bench, do a max like 1-2 rep, and I did it fine. Felt great. I was like, yeah, cool. But the next day I was like my shoulder was, right. I just couldn't move it. I was like, oh, never again.
Yeah, in your line of work, it just doesn't matter.
No.
So. Hey, tell me about the all locker rooms are different. I was just in WWE the other day. I did a podcast with those guys, and of course, those are my stomping grounds. Yeah. So that's a whole different crew. See a couple of the same faces. Triple H running the place now along with Vince. So I'll see them. But they're at Lucha Underground, there when you get to the temple, and you guys are rolling cameras and doing TV taping. What's the vibe in that locker room? Because a lot of Spanish guys, a couple of Americans.
Yeah.
And like I said, you brought up a name, Brian Cage. Man, that dude, as big as he is, and I watched his match he had last night, Matanza, what's his name?
Yeah, Matanza.
Man, they had a great match, and he's working some lucha style.
Yeah.
Big dude like that. What's that vibe like? Very competitive? How's the egos go?
It's competitive, but like in a friendly, like we all try to like be the best, obviously, but like it's not, there's really not any egos. We all like, as the match, because during the tapings, we all sit in the back. We have like our green room, and we have like this big TV. We're all sitting watching. We're all like, that was so cool. We're like, look at that. We're all cool. The guys come to the back. We're like clapping like the guy, because they did well, obviously, But it's really cool, actually. We all just like support it. Like we'll tell someone, hey, maybe don't do this, do this. Like we'll give them critiques, but like at the same time, we're like, but this was awesome. This was awesome. This was awesome. And that's something that also helps Lucha out so well, is because everyone just has a good time. We get there, get our per diem. It's awesome. And we just have a good time. We just hang out, and it's real cool.
Hey, man, one of my favorite matches from about, I guess, last season, and maybe it was, was it Ultima Lucha main event? It was the one where Vampiro took on Pentagon Jr., and it brought all the fluorescent bulbs and stuff like that. And Vampiro was a bloody mess, and then I guess Pentagon Jr. did the arm gimmick on him. That was a classic. What do you think when you see those type of matches? Violent, slower pace, because here's the thing that was so smart about what N did was, he wasn't going to try to, work like Pentagon Jr. and try to hit the ropes, man. He's established, he got some heat on him, and then from then on, it was just steady back and forth, and they just kept upping the violence, and it was just awesome. Do you dig watching matches like that?
Yeah, I do like matches like that, and I like matches like that when it's done right. Like, rather than just grabbing something, hit a guy. Like, if there's different avenues into doing something, that's, I think, because like Drake Younger, he used to be really, really smart about doing stuff like that. It wasn't just like fall into the glass, fall into the tacks. It was like something, tacks or something, you know. So that's, and I think they did really good. Like, they did really well with that, like leading up until like the finish or whatever. They did really well. Well, Pentagon's real smart about stuff like that too, and obviously Vampiro's pretty good about stuff like that too. But I think they did it really well.
Hey, man, one of the people I've been impressed with on that show is Eva Lise, because, again, she came out of 2011 Tough Enough. And then early on in the season, I mean, she was working with, it was Angelico and Son of Havoc.
Yeah.
So, and to see her go out there, and then, of course, then she had the match with Mil Muertes.
Yeah.
And, dude, you know, he's jacked. He's, you know, he'd been around for a pretty good while. He's a good hand. And
He
so
just beat her up the match. She got her stuff, but like, it was so cool.
No,
He just
but I
beat
mean,
her up.
the way they did it, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you were able to suspend your disbelief. You're like, man, the people got behind her because of the way they worked. She actually had a little bit of a chance, and of course, you know, not going to beat Mil Muertes.
Oh, yeah.
But they made it believable.
But the way they did it, yeah.
And I just
But Mil's really good about stuff like that. Like, Mil, like, my three favorite to watch today are like Kenny Omega, Kyle O'Reilly, Mil Muertes. Those are my three favorites to watch today because they're all so different, and they all, like, especially like Mil, he knows how to call and how to make, and he's so smart. Like, every time we have a match together, I'm just like, what's he gonna have planned now? Because he's so smart about stuff.
So where's Mil based out of? Mexico?
Yeah.
So he's been working, 12, 15 years? I mean,
Maybe longer.
Yeah, but he's been around. He's a veteran. I know that.
Yeah. He's been around for a while.
Kenny Omega, and I've been hearing that name a lot. I guess he's obviously a lot of time in New Japan.
Yeah, he used to be in a company called DDT in Japan. Then he recently contracted with New Japan. He was their Intercontinental Champion. He's something different.
I haven't seen a whole lot of his work. I've been hearing his name.
He's so good.
So what's he doing? Is he doing what you're doing? Is it high flying stuff?
He used to be a junior. But he got New Japan moved him up.
So when you say junior and going back to Japan, is that would be like I would say in the States, or like WWE or like NXT is going to have a cruiserweight tournament?
Yeah, I think to me there's a difference between a junior and a high flyer.
Okay.
Like Rich Swann. Rich Swann is one of the best juniors out there, but he's not really a high flyer. He doesn't he does like a frog splash, but he doesn't do too much high flying. But he is a great junior, for example.
But it's a quick style.
But it's the quick style, like Kyle O'Reilly would be a junior. He's not a high flyer, but he's still a junior.
Right.
You know, Fergal Devitt, Finn Balor.
Yeah.
He's one, if not the best junior out now. But he's beyond junior status, I think, now.
Okay, then let me ask you a question. I've been waiting for Finn Balor to come to the main stage in WWE for a long time. And, man, he's still down at NXT. And then it's like, shoot, dude's got almost 15 years under his belt. And so sometimes I'm wondering, or do you wonder this? I mean, why they keep him on the NXT side and why not bring him up to the main roster? Because he's a world-class dude.
My only thing would be, I guess, Triple H just really wants him. He knows that guy's a star. He knows that guy is the man. He knows that he's the guy. So he's like, I'm going to keep him as long as possible until Vince makes me give him, you know. But I think because he is the man. He's the guy. Like, he'll be the guy in any company he goes to. So I think Triple H knows that. And so he's like, I'm going to try to keep him as long as possible.
Have you got a chance to work with him in Japan several times?
I worked with him once in Japan, and I worked him once in England. Yeah, he knows how to, like, get the most out of something, too. He's really, man, he's good. He's so good.
So what would you say your strong point is? I know execution, but I mean, do you bring a mentality to it, or timing, or
I was going to say
layout?
Something that when I went to Dragon Gate, a guy named Shima, he was kind of my sensei, my guy. He really ingrained it into me: accuracy, execution, and timing. That's what he just ingrained it into my head. Because I remember when I first went there, he was like, "You must be accurate. You must be accurate. You must be accurate." And so that's what I was like. Okay, that's what I'm going to be, accurate. And but yeah, I think that's one thing I bring. I try to be as well rounded as possible. Like I said, like I'll go in there with Will Osprey and I'll have that match. But I had a match with Zack Sabre at PWG, and I don't even think I went to the top rope. I didn't do any I tried to keep it mat based. Like, I try to do every avenue I can. But I think, like, accuracy and timing of things is my strong point.
Here's a question, straight up. You're a big-time wrestling fan. When you get a chance to watch WWE, the product is 3 hours long, but it's a totally different ball game than what you guys are doing. When you watch WWE and you see the in-ring action, forget storylines, forget booking. When you see the in-ring action, what are you thinking?
I'm like you. I'm real nitpicky about things. Like that's something that I've grown. It's kind of like it's so bad because like even my matches, like I watch my match and I'm like, oh Trevor, why'd you do that? Like or this or that. Like so I'm just real nitpicky. But especially with nowadays, like I'm really entertained because you have guys like the New Day. You have Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Kalisto. Before he got injured, you had Neville. All these guys. It's really good. They have really good product. I think it's starting to really build. They have a really good roster, whether it's NXT or SmackDown or Raw or Main Event or whatever. They all have really good talent. Like even like your Zack Ryders and Heath Slaters, those guys are really good. Like they may not get the chance that some of them do, but they are really good.
What do you think about the tone of the show, just as far as the storylines? I'm a fan going back to, it was like when I was first talking about the Will Osprey Ricochet match. Man, I'm just going back to, Tessa Blanchard, Tully Blanchard, Arn, Ole, Flair, Dusty, Magnum, Nikita Koloff, those guys, Dusty, that style of serious wrestling, because that gold belt was really a championship belt. Mm-hmm. And so I just like serious wrestling. Like in Lucha Underground, there's not a whole lot of laugh out loud moments. It's heavy, it's dark. Yeah. And that's when it's by design. So sometimes, I just like serious business.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Like, obviously, guys like the New Day, like they're the opposite of serious. But like
they're highly entertaining.
Yeah, no, yeah, like I love it.
Yeah, they're not a comedy act. So I'm just not a big comedy fan, because I just think funny ain't money. Those guys are entertaining. There's a difference. Yeah. But I just like my presentation of the product to be about a belt, about tag belts or whatever. Yeah. And about it being a serious endeavor to try to get the possession of them. But that's me. I want to live in a shoot. Yeah. But it's a work.
Like I said, my favorite match ever is you and The Rock on 17, and that was not anything near funny or whatever. That was straight up two guys. I remember he was like, "You're going to get the best of The Rock, and you're going to get the best of him," and you were the same. And so like that's what it's about. Like two guys going out there. Like that's why I really enjoyed my matches with Pac or Neville in Japan, because like, we were two opposite groups. He thought he was the best. I thought I was the best. High flyer in the world. So we're like, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this thing. Like even to this day, like we're still good friends. But he wants to be the best. I want to be the best. Like, so that's what it's about.
Is that match on YouTube? Because I really like that kid's work.
There's a couple. There's one that's really old, but there's one later in years. I'll have to find it. But they used to be. Yes.
Before we wrap this thing up, I always give people something to watch on YouTube, and I've recommended the Ricochet Osprey match many times. As far as you've dropped a few matches, but can't miss matches that you would recommend right off the top of your head. Do you know any, one or two? Like I said, 1982 Tiger Mask versus Dynamite. I mean, that's just a badass match.
Like I said, I was watching. It was actually there's one I was watching. I think it was '96. It was that Benoit Eddie Guerrero has Black Tiger match. That was a fantastic match. There was one during this Super Junior. It was Kyle O'Reilly and Rocky Romero. That match was so good. It was so good. And I guess any Kenny Omega match, Kenny Omega versus Tanahashi, he's so good. Who else? There's just tons. There's so many out there that are, especially today, that are good. But like I said, obviously my second favorite match is Eddie Ray 97. But also I was watching a match, Rey Mysterio versus Jushin Thunder Liger, maybe 96 Starrcade, I think. That was pretty wild. It was a pretty cool match to watch too, especially because just after knowing those guys and watching them. But any like Dean Malenko versus Rey Mysterio match, right. Those were some classics. Yeah. Dean was so good with Ray. He would just be beating Ray up the whole time, and then Ray started coming back. Oh, man, it was so good.
And the thing I loved about Dean was just his demeanor. He was straight up business, and he was very technical. He could wrestle his ass off. And because he's a man of 1,000 holds, whatever his gimmick was. But, yeah, and he just doesn't get enough credit how good he was. Here's one more for you, and this would be more Fit Finley. He wasn't a high flyer, but you talk about just a technical guy with a mean streak in him. And when Fit was on somebody, I mean, he's one of the best workers I've ever seen. And a lot of people, I mean, he really helps a lot of those kids out in WWE. And I know he works with the women as well, but he doesn't get enough credit. I mean, that guy's like a third or fourth generation wrestler. He's about as real as they get. Yeah. I love his stuff.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. I've seen a couple of good matches he's had with my buddy Sammy Callahan. They had some real brawls. It was so good. Like, you know, Sammy's a brawler, Fitz a brawler. They were just killing each other. But Finley's son, Dave, he's doing really well over in New Japan. He's over in New Japan right now. I think the Super Junior tour was really like a breakout for him because he got in there with a bunch of good guys and he had some really good matches and he's starting to really learn and really get it, and he's starting to really come into like himself.
Hey, one question for you. One more question. When I used to go film one of my reality shows, we filmed the first 3 seasons in Mexico. So I was either watching, I guess it was AAA, and I think it was MLL, but there's a couple of lucha organizations down there. And so you got Technicos and Rudos, right? Heels, babyfaces. And I never really got the total psychology of lucha because I know in American style, it's, you know, you got a babyface and a heel, and the babyface generally is a better wrestler. Yeah. And he's going to out-wrestle the heel, so the heel's going to cheat to get on top. And he's going to beat him up, get a set of heat on the babyface, and then the babyface get a couple shine spots, a couple hope spots, and then, oh, man, finally he just can't take it anymore, fire up a big comeback, and they'll go home. And the heel's going to flip-flop and fly for that baby, and then either the heel's going over or the baby's going over. And a screw job finish or clean, whatever, or something quick by the baby on a heel. So what would you say the psychology in a true lucha match is?
That's a hard question.
because, I mean, there's just a lot of, you know, you do your thing, I do mine. I love it.
Yeah, that's kind of it. Because, like, I think a lot of the new wrestling nowadays, like a lot of us kids, I guess you'd say, we get flack for the psychology of a match or whatever, but if you guys honestly knew how much psychology we try to put in a match, like when we're calling a match, sometimes the match before us is happening and we're still making our match because we're like, why would we do that right there? And we're like, well, I don't know why would you do that? And so like we really think about this stuff before we don't just put the match together and, okay, we'll do that. We really think about this stuff. But like in lucha, I think like they just want to like dazzle and like give like as much of like athletic performance as possible. I don't like they're like AAA is more story based rather than CMLL. CMLL is more like an athletically based, but at the same time they go out there and they want to put on a more athletic based show. Like story's kind of second nature too. But I don't know, lucha's it's hard, man. It's just it's more visual, I guess, rather than emotional. It's more visual. I personally think.
Hey, let's give big ups to TrueCar for being a loyal sponsor of the Steve Austin Show. With TrueCar, 60 seconds is all you'll need to get an offer for your car. And the amount of time it takes to floss your teeth, pet your dog, or do a few push-ups, you can get a true cash offer. Best of all, you can do it from your smartphone or even from your home. Just go to TrueCar and simply enter your license plate number and watch how your car's details pop up. Answer a few questions and you'll get an accurate true cash offer from a local TrueCar certified dealer. It's that easy. After that, you can bring your car in and they'll check it out with you. Together, you can ask questions and get the answers you need so there's no surprises. Then simply leave with your check or trade in your car for a new ride. So when you're ready to experience a better way to sell or trade in your car, check out TrueCar today. True cash offer not available in all areas. Hey man, you're going to need some car insurance for that vehicle. Go to geico.com and in 15 minutes you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. That's right. Save hundreds of dollars on car insurance at geico.com. Extra money in your pocket? It may just be the most rewarding thing you do today. All right, I'm giving Sean a go-home cue, so let's wrap it up for this week. Please don't forget to rate and review the Steve Austin Show on Apple Podcasts and tell your friends to check us out. Word of mouth is the best way, or about the only way we really advertise for the podcast. Many other people are in that same boat, so if you enjoy the podcast, please recommend it to a friend. And if you want to reach me here on the podcast, please send me an email to questions@steveaustinshow.com. If you don't know, you should know. I've got an IPA on the market, and I think my IPA is one of the best beers in the United States of America. It is called Broken Skull IPA from El Segundo Brewing Company, and you can find it at Whole Foods and Total Wines if you live in SoCal. If you ain't Cali, you might be SOL. I also have a couple of pocket knives. From Cold Steel Knives comes the Broken Skull knife or the Working Man's knife, and you can find them at my Amazon store. Amazon has the best price on both knives. Just go to amazon.com/shop/Steve Austin. I'd like to say one more thank you to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. Please support them because they support us. And if you need more info on my sponsors, check out the show description to this episode for details. Until next time, folks, my name is Steve Austin. I am on social media, Twitter and Instagram, at Steve Austin BSR, and I will catch your ass down the road.
Download new episodes of Steve Austin Unleashed every Thursday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.